Hi, this is Dr. Patricia Fitzgerald, and I'm here with Dr. Marc Schoen, the author of the amazing book, Your Survival Instinct is Killing You. Retrain your brain to conquer fear, make better decisions, and thrive in the 21st century. Thank you so much for meeting with me today, Dr. Schoen. I love this book. I think it's so apropos for our 21st century and the amount of stress people are dealing with, and it just seems like it's increasing and increasing, and a lot of people don't know what to do with it. I love what it says here in the book. There's traffic, a slow cashier is making you late, your burglar alarm is ringing, the reaction you have, anxious, irritated, scared, your limbic brain at work. This part of the brain used to only fire when there was immediate danger. Now everyday life is eliciting this reaction. We seem to be in fight or flight mode when we don't have really that much to flee from anymore. What's happening to us? What's going on with our culture that we have emails constantly, texts constantly, we become impatient. It seems like people have shorter fuses when we have more luxury, more comfort, better food in our country. What's happening, Dr. Schoen? Can you help us?
Right. Thanks to technology, our lives are a lot more comfortable than ever before. But at the same time, we're becoming increasingly intolerant of being uncomfortable. And when we are, the survival instinct goes on, stays on, gets stuck, goes into overdrive, and we start reacting to little small situations like traffic, standing in line, people cutting in front of us with this overblown reaction, and it's the fight or flight reaction.
Do you think a lot of that has to do with the dramatic increase in data that comes in electronically via all the emails, faxes, phones, devices that just seems to be exponentially growing in amount that we have to process, and maybe the body's just kind of overwhelmed and doesn't know how to, and is it triggering that fight or flight on a regular basis? Is that kind of what's happening?
The overstimulation of what you're describing, of just so much of our senses just feeling flooded with information, is creating this thing called agitance. It's speeding up the body. And so we're running faster and we're running hotter. And because of that, we are less tolerant of being uncomfortable.
So you use the word agitance. So you're meaning people are becoming more agitated with things that they really shouldn't be agitated about? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm feeling that what I'm reacting is that all these different things, whether it's a flood of stimulation, the need for instant gratification, impatience, it's increasing the speed in the body, how fast we're going inside. Doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but it gets to a point, though, if that speed gets high enough, then it causes this uncomfortable feeling, which then triggers this fight or flight reaction.
Very interesting. And as I was reading your book, as this uncomfortable feeling keeps getting played out more and more, it seems like there's more inflammation in the body and corresponding physical health issues, emotional, psychological health issues, as we're witnessing in our culture. So it's having more of an effect to our health, pretty harmful, it seems, from what you've written in your book.
Yeah, I mean, that's the ironic thing about this, is that this survival instinct, which was meant to keep us out of danger, is now, rather than having survival value now, it's putting us in harm's way. And because of that, since it's on overdrive, it's leading the body to feel depleted of its resources. It's running us ragged. And one of those side effects is inflammation or more rapid aging, less happy, less joyful. Our performance and decision-making ability is enormously impaired by it.
So it's quite paradoxical that the very thing that used to save us from danger is now creating danger to our own health. As your title is so perfect, Your Survival Instinct is Killing You. I know a lot of our audience wishes they could break out of this, agitation, discomfort, overwhelm. And, in a perfect world, they would go on a retreat and meditate and, that kind of thing. That would be nice. Take a spa vacation. But since that's not realistic for a lot of our audience, are there some practical steps they could take, just some baby steps to get started, so when they experience this discomfort and maybe they're about to act out by grabbing some food or alcohol or something that is maybe maladaptive, as you write about, is there another way that they could respond to this discomfort when they don't know what to do with it? And I think you have some really good solutions maybe to share with us.
Yes, I think the first thing to keep in mind is that the goal isn't to banish discomfort from the body and the mind. Discomfort's inevitable. So the goal then is to learn to be able to thrive with discomfort rather than waiting to thrive when conditions are perfect. So step one is to realign our perceptions and experience of discomfort. That's number one. Then number two is to change how the brain literally reacts to discomfort. Instead of turning on the fear center of the brain whenever we feel uncomfortable, we want it to turn on other parts of the brain that have no relationship to fear.
Very interesting. So we want to be at peace with discomfort instead of afraid of it. Sounds like we kind of want to just acknowledge it as part of the palette of what we experience. And then since there's a lot of it, maybe there's some ways that we could choose. There are other things we could choose instead of ice cream or alcohol or cigarettes or, any other. Are there healthier choices that we can make when we feel discomfort right away? After we've made peace with it and acknowledge it, is there anything to help bring us some more inner peace perhaps, or help to balance this onslaught of data and input that's bringing up the agitation?
Yeah, absolutely. There are some very simple ways. If we think about it, if the goal is to make it so that when we're uncomfortable and we don't feel fearful, then we want to make it so that when the brain experiences the uncomfortable feeling, rather than it going to the fear center of the brain, that it goes to other parts of the brain that have no relationship to fear. So we start bringing in other parts of the brain and associating them with discomfort.
Interesting. So there are parts of the brain that don't have a connection to fear.
Absolutely. All the time. Our olfactory sense, we smell something, or if we taste something, a certain flavor, it brings up a different part of the brain. Or if we hear a sound or a song, that brings up the auditory part of the brain. So as we engage other parts of the brain, we, in a sense, dilute the power of the fear response.
So we're taking in things that are pleasurable to us through our sense of smell, taste, vision,
sound,
touch,
vision.
Sound. I see. Okay.
And we pair them together.
Right.
So now it's just like good old-fashioned conditioning. Now discomfort is associated with all sorts of other thoughts, feelings, ideas, positive memories, or even neutral memories.
So would we be able to leverage that discomfort into something that would maybe empower us instead of disempower us once we use the tips that you shared in terms of taking the different sensory approaches? Instead of just neutralizing it, we'd actually be able to use that discomfort for something, maybe greater performance in the workplace or creativity, intuition.
Absolutely. We can make it. Mm-hmm. So discomfort, rather than having an obstructive or damaging effect on our lives, we can make it so that it actually can have a facilitative effect. But we first have to feel a confidence and an ability to manage it. Once we can manage it, we can change its effect so that discomfort actually can be sort of a friend to us.
This book is so perfect for the 21st century because this idea of discomfort, running away from it, the buildup of fear and fight or flight is so specific to the culture we live in. So I can't thank you enough for writing this book because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I underlined and made so many notes just for my own patients in my practice because I see that agitance, discomfort, anxiety, and stress increasing dramatically in the past several years that I can only imagine when the global audience gets their hands on this book and they use the tools you provided, you're giving them some tools and insight to carry on into the next several decades as we're all trying to figure out how to navigate this, culture of amazing technology and the paradox of amazing overwhelm. So thank you so much for writing this, and thank you so much for meeting with me today, Dr. Schoen. I know this book is going to be a big hit.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.